Hey folks, this lesson is going to talk about our number one target in algebra, and that is I can solve linear equations, right? This is something that you've done before, right? So it's going to be a little bit of a review and in many cases, but we're going to work on it all semester, all year long, really, and we'll probably take you a little bit more advanced than you were before, okay? But it very well may look familiar, okay? So here is the question that we might see. Okay, solve for the variable in each equation that follows. All right, so let's jump right in and do that. All right, so if I'm going to solve this equation, right, what it's really asking is, well, here's this variable that's being referred to, okay, right here. And solving this equation is answering the question, well, what value does this variable have if this equation is true, okay? So the equal sign just means is the same as. So this equation is saying that x minus 9 is the same as 30. Okay. So if we're going to solve it, we want to know, well, what does x need to be? Now with this small equation, we can just kind of think about this one and sort of guess and check it in our head. And if we think about it, well, x would need to be 39, right? Because 39 minus 9 is the same as 30. Okay? So that would be the solution to this. Now, these do get more complicated, all right? So we do have a process, if you will, for solving algebraic equations, and this may look familiar. So a segment down the equal sign I often put on here, and that just reminds us that the equal sign means that both sides are the same, okay? So the left side is the same as the right side. So if I change something on the left, I have to change it on the right as well, right, by doing the same thing. And then it'll still be the same, all right? So let's see what that looks like. So what I would do with this equation, and it might look familiar, is I would add 9 to both sides, because then it's still going to be the same, right? It'll stay balanced, if you want to think of it like that. But this left side, x minus 9 plus 9, well, minus 9 and plus 9 just kind of cancel each other out, right? So I just have x on the left side now is the same as, well, 30 plus 9, sure enough, is 39. There we go, and there's our solution, okay? Let's go right to another one, okay? This equation is saying that 45 is the same as 5 times some number, right? If you remember this notation, a number right next to a variable means that those are multiplied, okay? So again, this one I can just kind of think about, like, well, if I know my multiplication facts, 45 is the same as 5 times 9, right? So the solution to this would be k equals 9, right? Now if I didn't know that, or if I just want to practice the skill, I'm going to balance both sides of the equation because they're the same. So in this case, I would divide both sides by 5, okay? Because 5 times k divided by 5, well, these multiplying by 5 and dividing by 5 will kind of cancel, right? And if you recall, that's kind of our goal, is to cancel some of the things being done to the variable, right? Or get the variable by itself. So we're kind of working backward a little bit. All right, so in this case, we have k by itself, and then 45 divided by 5 is 9. So sure enough, k is 9. Okay? All right, now we're not going to get too crazy advanced too early on, but I do want to show you kind of the next level. This is called a two-step equation, and our goal is the same. If I'm going to solve this, I want to know, well, what is this value if this statement is true? So 3 times something and then minus 6 is the same as 18. Okay, I could think about it and kind of guess and check in my head if I want. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. However, they're going to get more complicated yet. So I want to practice the skill of solving these equations, all right? So if this is the same as this, I'm going to start breaking it down by doing the same thing to both sides, right? In this case, I would add 6 to both sides, right? Because minus 6 plus 6, just they kind of cancel. So the left side, I just have 3n over there now, is the same as, well, 18 and I added 6 is 24. Okay. Now I have another step. I'm still trying to figure out, well, what does this value have to be? And I can maybe see it a little more clearly here, right? But I'm going to continue on and kind of pretend I didn't know. I'm going to undo this multiplication here, right? So 3 times n divided by 3, those will kind of just cancel, multiplying by 3 divided by 3. So I just get n, right? So n is equal to, and here we go, 24 divided by 3 is 8. Okay, so n equals 8. Now, I highly, highly encourage you to check your work on these, especially when they get more complicated. All right, so n equals 8. Oh, I don't know why I put it up there, but I did. All right, let's pretend it does. Right, 3 times 8. Right, if n were 8, 3 times 8 is 24, and then minus 6 from that. 24 minus 6 is 18. So we're good to go. I kind of checked my work there. Okay, all right, one more problem. Similar, this is a 2-step as well. Okay, so I'm going to start breaking it down. I want to know what number is y, all right, to make this statement true. Well, my first step would be subtracting 2, right, because these will cancel then. Well, now I just have y divided by 10 equals, and 32 minus 2 is 30. Okay, so I mentioned it, or I just said this here a moment ago, y divided by 10. So we see this fraction, if you remember this notation, means division, right? So when we see a fraction, we can think of it as division as well. So this is y divided by 10 is the same as 30, or equals 30, okay? So again, we can kind of guess and check it or think about it. If we're not quite sure, we can use our step, so our process here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by 10, right? And I'm doing that because multiplying by 10 and then dividing by 10 is going to kind of cancel to just give me my y value. All right, so here we go. I'm going to extend my segment. Y is equal to 30 times 10 is 300. So 300 would be my solution here. Real quick check. 300 divided by 10 is 30, plus 2 is 32. Sure enough, we're good to go. Okay, there you go. That's target 1 for Algebra 1.